very strange day at Roland Garros. Super sad. Zverev rolls his ankle really badly and is forced to retire against Nadal. Nadal goes through in what we only got to see 3 hours of a potentially 7-hour semifinal because they didn't even finish the second set. So Nadal into the final to play Casper Ruud. Does Ruud have a chance? We're going to break it all down. This matchup and what happened to Zverev and his future going on right now. This is the Slice presented by PointsBet Canada. Let's get into it.
Oh, he's playing a galactic level.
He's been too good, too often.
Oh, it's out to this world.
How's that for quality on clay?
So yeah, people, kind of a somber start to this episode. To see Zverev go down in the way he did, it just kind of makes you feel sick. And yeah, no matter if you're a fan of Zverev or not, you can't enjoy seeing this. And the way that the match ended was as weird as maybe the match was in itself. So I'm really going to get into what that match looked like, where it was going, or possibly. But unfortunately, you can't really say too much about the outcome because it didn't complete. Because tennis needs to be completed. There can always be twists and turns. And it felt like we weren't even halfway done that match at all. And it was already 3 hours, like I said. So PointsBet Canada, presenting sponsor of the Slice during the French Open. If you're in Ontario, Canada, download the app. Get on the sportsbook if you are a tennis bettor, and you can bet the final, Casper Ruud versus Nadal. Is it going to go 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets? I'm not sure. What I am sure about, though, is you should subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter at The Slice Tennis. I will be in Stuttgart this weekend on the grass at the Boss Open, talking to possibly Nick Kyrgios. Tsitsipas just announced he's going to be there. Shapoval's going to be there. Andy Murray's going to be there. Nick Kyrgios. So it's going to be fun. So follow me on Twitter. I'll be all around that tournament. But Zverev, Nadal. So Zverev, I mean, the Zverev-Nadal matchup is an interesting one because Zverev's been able to beat him 3 times out of the 6 or out of the 9 that they've played. And coming into this match, I said on the preview video, it'll be interesting to see how the conditions play because it'll be humid, it'll be wet, and the roof was closed. So it turns out that the conditions were basically as slow as a lot of people. I've heard Gil Gross, I've heard all the other people say it's as slow as they've ever seen a tennis court play. It was very hard for either guy to hit through the court. Zverev was actually doing a lot better than Nadal. The big question coming in on Nadal's side was he going to have the same level of game as he did against Djokovic? And through the first 2 sets, you would have to say no, he didn't. He didn't have the forehand like he did against Djokovic, and he also didn't start the match like he did against Djokovic. Zverev started the match as the aggressor, and he played super well at the beginning. So yeah, let's go back to the end again. Zverev rolls his ankle, and they kind of, he went down super hard, yelling, screaming in pain, horrible to watch, gets taken off in a wheelchair. I've rolled my ankle in that exact same way playing college basketball. It's where Zverev's going out, he's stepping out with his outside leg, and his toe is dragging underneath his toes pointed down, and he's dragging it out to step, and the toe just gets stuck on the ground a little bit. So then you step while the toe's still down. So then your entire weight of your outside leg, which he was trying to hit an open stance forehand, goes onto that foot that's literally tucked underneath itself in a way. And you can feel when that's happening, obviously, as an elite athlete, and you just fall by instinct. But even just a little bit of pressure like there, and it probably was more than a little bit, it was probably a lot, can do serious damage. So that was a bad roll. At the beginning, I didn't even know what it was. I was like, did he just snap his leg? They weren't showing replays. They said it's too bad for us to show. And I was like, oh my gosh, did he have a compound fracture or something? Turns out it was just a bad roll. I don't know the extent of the injury, but horrible to see him go off anyways like that. But the point of the match, what he went off, was a point which was obviously a tipping point. It was a strange match because, like I said, Zverev started better than Nadal, and you could easily argue that Zverev should have been up 2 sets to love at this point in the match already. And like I said, it was almost 3 hours in. The first set, Zverev went up 4-2. He got broken back. He went to a tiebreaker, and then he was up 6-2 in the tiebreaker. and then in the tiebreaker from 6-2 down, Nadal just played some of those vintage, put them in a museum beside the Mona Lisa forehand passing shots that were just the most vintage Nadal shots of all time. But it just never should have gotten there. Zverev, because of the conditions, because of Nadal's crazy anticipation, he was just so unable to put away forehands. Big first serves, and then Nadal would hit like a looping return that would land midway up the service box, and Zverev would come run up to it and just not be able to put these away over and over again. Either Nadal would predict the right way to go, or he would like shank it, or he just wouldn't do enough with it. So there was just lots of moments in this match where it looked like Zverev was going to go back into the ways we've seen him do it a bunch of times. Be up, get mentally tight, get broken, and lose the match. This match, though, had a different feel to it because we knew as it got extended, which it didn't finish the second set, almost over 3 hours, I think, it could get super physical. And yes, Sasha is the more physically fit player at this time in their life. Don't make any mistake about it. So it was interesting. And then Sasha also served for the second set, got broken, and then it was going to a tiebreaker when this all went down. So he's a big question mark for Wimbledon, honestly. Those types of rolls, they take a long time for all the muscles and ligaments in your shin and your foot and everything to get back to normal. So I think is going to be a question mark for Wimbledon, but we wish him well in his recovery. Nadal into the final, playing, exerting some energy, but not an insane amount, obviously. So he's playing Casper Ruud. So now we can move on to the good stuff. Casper Ruud took out Cilic. He actually handled him pretty well today. It was interesting after the match. Ruud said, and it's going to relate to the Nadal matchup and what he's going to have to do. He said, Cilic came out playing super aggressive and Casper was on the back foot. Cilic played very aggressive against, Medvedev, put it together amazingly well, and that's when we all started to think, holy moly, he could make a run here and really do damage, potentially challenge for the title. Because Cilic playing on his front foot and playing like the way he is top drawer, absolutely top level, can play with the best of them. Then after the first set, Casper he switched it up. He went big. He started hitting his forehand bigger, being more aggressive, and that's the new Casper Ruud. That's the part of Casper Ruud that is now taking him to Grand Slam finals instead of just being like a good clay court grinder. So he's able to take his forehand so big now and be so aggressive with it, taking it early, that he's able to hurt guys like Cilic, and he can take the racket out of Cilic's hand so he can't just be like hammering away at Ruud. And that was a big switch up, and it's emblematic of what he has to do against Nadal. As I said before, I'm super impressed with Casper Ruud. I call him Casper the Cat because of how quiet he is on his feet, how precise he is with everything. And as I said in the last video, he's really optimized his forehand and his serve and basically his entire game for what he can do. Casper used to be the guy who could beat most of the tour, like everyone except outside the top 20 guys, with just being as good of a defender, returner, counterpuncher as he was on clay. That just got him to where he was at. He then had to add aspects to his game, which he has, like the forehand and the serve, amping those up big time, getting stronger physically as well. And that comes with time as well. He's like 23 now, I think. So now he's added that part to his game where I feel he can beat most players, anyone on tour on their day, because he actually has the weapons to do it now. He's not just a clay court grinder. He's got big weapons, and that is why you've seen him do so much better on hard court, making the Miami final, winning San Diego last year. So that's why he's been better on hard court, and that's why he has, I think, a chance against Nadal. Coming into this, Nadal is the absolutely massive favorite, of course. It's Nadal's, what do you want me to say? He's won 21 slams. He's won 13 Roland Garros. He's won, all the over 80 titles. I don't even know how many he's won. And Casper is coming in here with a handful of titles, never been past the fourth round of a major. So my fear is that, it's a 3-set match. He kind of gets, there's one tight set, and they shake hands, and Casper's like, oh, I'm glad to make my first major final. What I want to see is a battle. I want to see Casper play his best, and I want to see Nadal play his best and see what comes of that. I still think Nadal's going to win, for sure, but I think it can be more than just these young guys who are like, hey, I'm happy to play Rafa Nadal and be there kind of while he wins another slam. The reason I think so what I said earlier is Casper has a chance because his forehand can hurt Nadal. His serve can hurt Nadal now, and it can start points, and he can he can do something off of that and not just be like kind of like David Ferrer against Nadal. Never felt like Ferrer could hold consistently enough to do that, to kind of really have a good chance in these 5-set matches. I feel like Casper's serve can be good enough to where he can hold pretty consistently against Nadal. I mean, Nadal's basically the greatest returner of all time on clay. So it's still going to be tough. He's going to get broken. There's going to be pressure. Even if Ruud's very clinical in taking his first forehand big and coming to net, he's small enough that he can get past more easily, etc. So it's still going to be a massive challenge for Casper, but he does have tools in his toolkit to hurt Nadal. So if Nadal comes into this match showing up like he did against Djokovic, being ultra aggressive, and Casper sits passively, that's when Casper drops out of the top 10, 15 of players in my mind, and becomes a very easy target for Nadal to just rip back and forth on the court and just go through him whenever he wants. Come to the net, do his drop volleys. It literally is clay tennis perfection. So Casper cannot sit back and let Nadal do that. It's a battle for the baseline like it was with Djokovic. Nadal won that battle for the baseline, and he won the match. Earlier in the Zverev match, Nadal didn't win the battle for the baseline, and it looked like he was going to be in for a long night, and arguably, like I said, it should have been 2 sets to love for Zverev. So Casper's fighting chance is to get on the baseline and be able to be as aggressive as well. I honestly think he needs to redline. I don't like he needs to redline for it. He needs to go aggressive, hit big through the court, and not wait to hit clean winners to come forward. I think he needs to hit anytime he sees Nadal going for a slice after he's hit like an inside-out forehand or just an up-the-line forehand. He needs to be coming into the net, trying to finish, taking risks. We saw that work with Felix. Obviously, Felix is like 6 inches taller, maybe like 4 inches taller. But Casper's got to do something. He can't just sit back and try and rally with Nadal all night. Not going to work. So, massive advantage Nadal. That's kind of the layout strategy-wise. Nadal, he's on the edge of history again. He's been talking. There's been lots of talk about him taking time off after Roland Garros, skipping Wimbledon because his foot's getting so bad. Apparently, he's having to have it anesthetized every match. So he's basically playing with a numb foot, I think. So the guy is an absolute legendary warrior with the tennis gods. And this is an opportunity for him to get to 22. Unbelievable. 22 would be just another cap in his belt. It really wouldn't change much for tennis history. It'd just be like another appreciation of how unbelievably good this guy is. One of the GOATs, the GOAT. I don't care what you want to say. He's stepping into it, and he's got a big, big chance to do it against Casper Ruud. That's just the facts. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think about this Zverev injury, what that match was like. Very weird match. Both guys. In the second set, there was like 8 breaks or something like that. They just breaking back each other back and forth. Crazy slow conditions that were making that the case. But then, does Casper Ruud have a chance against Nadal? Let me know. I'm excited for the match, so I can't wait for Sunday. I also can't wait to be in Stuttgart. So follow me on Twitter at @TheSliceTennis, and also follow me or us on Instagram at @TheSliceTennis, which we will be back on Sunday after the French Tennis Federation blocked us for 3 days for posting a 3-second clip of Casper and Holger. That's tennis, people. We'll see you next time here on The Slice, post-finals for the women and the men. See you soon.
He's playing aggressively.
She's been too good, too often.
Oh, it's out to this world.
How's that for quality on clay?